G'day, I'm Tom from Purpose Built Moto. Sitting behind me is my personal ride and the first bike out of the Purpose Built Moto garage, a 1981 GS550. This thing was built between my own garage and my dad's shed before I had a business. Let me take you through the modification and work done on this bike.
Apart from tinkering with a ton of dirt bikes when I was a kid, this GS550 was my first ever street bike project. I bought this thing online from a local guy while I was working in the Pilbara desert. It looked like an okay bike, but it didn't run. The GS550 had dents in the tank from where the frustrated owner had punched it and some serious electrical problems. So I tore it down, and having a beer with my dad and staring at the bare bones in front of me, a few ideas came to mind. I wanted modern suspension and a few upgraded touches. Everything else was to be simplified to a point where the only thing people would see upon glancing at it was the silhouette of the bike. I was in my very infancy here in terms of bike building, so each step of the project was a very steep and well-earned learning curve. First was to fit the new front end, brakes and wheel. Donated from a 2007 GSXR 750, the front was a simple fit, with a few minor adjustments to the steering stops, and the front fairing was made to look like an old racing fork brace. It's actually made out of all lightweight aluminium. Usually a front end swap like this would throw your steering angles and geometry way out, but because I was grafting on a Ducati single-sided swing arm on the back, I had room to move. Onto the electrics. The switches and turn signals now available at purposebuiltmoto.com are thanks to this bike. When shopping for parts, I couldn't find what I wanted, so I made it. The LED turn signals and handlebar switches fitted are the first I ever made, complemented with a 4.5-inch headlight with copper bezel and a tiny LED strip brake light. The electronics do nothing but complement the bike's overall style. The carbs are given a set of high-quality pod filters and a stage 3 jetting kit. This allows the intake to keep up with the custom high-flow headers with Purpose Built Moto torpedo muffler. My GS550 also received a Dynatech ignition with new coils and leads. On the rear, the frame was widened 45mm and the swing arm shaved 8mm to allow the Ducati 748 swing arm and the 848 Marchesini wheel to be fitted. After fitting that and modifying the frame to accept the new linkageless monoshock, the only thing left was making the new rear wheel speak to the old gearbox. A 10mm offset front sprocket was fabricated to allow wheel clearance and sprocket alignment. When it comes to the aesthetics of this bike, it was kept simple. 3 colours: black, brushed stainless steel and copper accents. The seat was finished in a tan nubuck leather with a decidedly simple stitch pattern. The copper parts were selected and electroplated with a light, clear coat to slow the patina down a bit. The GS550 tank was cut and modified to include some knee scallop details, finished in a gloss black and wearing the PBM arrow. The frame, wheels, triple clamps and a few other details were finished in a matte black to give a little contrast. Next was the rider ergonomics. I love the feel of my old GSXR 600, so I found the measurements for that and copied the layout as closely as I could. Custom fitting a set of Aprilia RSV 250 rear sets, setting the seat height and mounting a set of clip-on bars. This is where I started getting excited to ride it. The feeling of this bike is of great control and direct handling. It goes where you tell it to. That, coupled with a few performance upgrades, delivers an amazing ride. This bike was built for quick mountain runs through my hometown hinterland, and I'm still riding around and loving every trip on it. This GS550 is a reminder that if I set my mind to something that I love and was willing to commit, I could make something great. And this was the catalyst for Purpose Built Moto to even exist.